Good morning, Parker Posse. Yes, it's I can't speak. It is I. Um, my plan is to try to come on tonight, but I just wanted to give you an update on some of the things that are being cut off so you can be abreast and don't be shocked if you go and need to use any of these things or hear about them or it affects you in some way. So this is Rachel Maddow yesterday giving us an update, and she is right now talking about the fact that our president has cut off the monies going for the weather balloons.
It previously reported on them having to cut weather balloon launches in Maine and in Alaska and in Albany, New York. Now, because of Trump's additional firings in the National Weather Service, they're having to cut weather balloon launches to one per day rather than two per day in Nebraska, South Dakota, Colorado, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Wyoming. And because of Trump's cuts to the Weather Service, they are now cutting weather balloon launches entirely. They are down to 0 per day, specifically in Omaha, Nebraska, and in Rapid City, South Dakota. But hey, it's not like there's ever any weather in those places, right? So that will probably be fine indefinitely. The cuts to the National Forest Service are such now that Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski has resorted to posting Facebook videos of herself outside the Mendenhall Glacier Visitor Center just outside Juneau. Senator Murkowski in this video posted to Facebook basically pleading for understanding over the fact that every single employee who operates that visitor center in Juneau, every single employee except for one, has just been terminated by Donald Trump. She says the first Alaska cruise ship of the season is due to arrive in
Parker is bothering me
in less than a month.
Because I'm sitting on the floor.
This visitor center is one of the most visited places for the thousands of people who come to Juneau on these types of ships. But now Trump has fired every single person who works at that visitor center for the Forest Service except for one. So, sorry, Alaska. Donald Trump has also just ordered an immediate halt to shipments of vegetables and poultry to U.S. food banks.
Wow.
Particularly in rural areas. No warning, he has just cut them off from millions of dollars worth of produce and poultry. These are USDA shipments to U.S. food banks. Trump has now ordered the shutdown of the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which, among other things, means that Trump is cutting off technology support for libraries, including their internet connections. Trump has cut off summer reading programs for kids at libraries. He has just cut the funding for, say, interlibrary loans. He has just cut the funding that lets your local library provide you free access to old newspapers and other historic records, which millions of Americans use for basic research on things like real estate or genealogy research on their own families. Trump has ordered an end to the funding for all of those things. Trump has also ordered, as of yesterday, the shutting down of the U.S. Education Department. In so doing, today he announced that the millions of people who have federally supported student loans will now have those loans handled by the Small Business Administration instead. Shutting down the Education Department, so the Small Business Administration will now handle federal student loans. The Small Business Administration doesn't do anything like that. They never have. They don't have the capacity for it. These are millions of individual student borrowers they will now be responsible for. They do not have the capacity to do it. And on the same day that he announced they would be now handling millions of individual federal student loans, he also announced that the Small Business Administration will now fire more than 40% of the people who do work at that agency, just as they are getting this huge new workload.
Okay. The air we breathe matters. Some say air filters that capture more particles can slow you.
Okay. That's a lot. It is a lot. And you guys tell me what's your thoughts on this, because I can say this. When I, back in the day, I had bought a computer, but it wasn't the best computer. It was a secondhand computer. And so it ended up getting a virus, and it just didn't work well. So I would go to the library. I have used the internet at the library. I can't even count how many times. In the summertime, when I was the youth pastor at my church, one of the things we did was take the children to the library once a week. They had story time. A lot of them had books that the teachers had given them to read over the summer. So we encouraged them to check those books out so they could, read those books. And because then a lot of times, especially in elementary school, you get a little prize. And so then we were giving them, prizes at the church for reading the books over the summer. Do you know how many seniors use the library and use the internet there who don't have computers at home or don't know how to navigate as good as, others? So they go to the library because they can get assistance from the people that work at the library when they're trying to utilize the computer. The USDA food program. I have been a part of that because I was over our pantry at the church. And so one of the things we did do was we would go to the food bank, and because they got food from the USDA program, we as a nonprofit organization could go down there and get the food, and then we would give it out in our community through our pantry because everybody can't get to the food bank. So you go down there are things you can, like fresh produce, breads and things like that, vegetables you can get for free, but then like the meat and stuff that the USDA provides, you can get for little or nothing, and then we would give it out to people who were having hard times, people who the money just didn't stretch, somebody who just didn't have food, they might have had a crisis or something, whatever the case may be. So it's not just the food pantries that use the USDA food that's sent, but they disperse it out to other agencies in the community that assist in getting the food out. And of course, I have a student loan from me going to, when I was working on my doctorate. I need to get back to it. I don't even know if there's going to be any money there for me to be able to go. With everything that's happening, I just can't imagine small business, the small business agency being able to handle the thousands of people with student loans. They should have just wrote them off, because that's pretty much what he's just done. I don't understand all this. I'm just trying to figure out, why are they trying to make life harder for the American people? That is the part I don't understand. If you just want to take over the country, you can do that without beating us down to a pulp. And when is anybody going to stand up for us? Who is fighting for us except for a handful of people? Why won't these people join together and fight for the American people? You got law firms folding under him. You got TV networks folding under him. You got not Bezos, but Mark Zuckerberg folding under him. You just have all these people, just whatever he wants, just fold under him because they are afraid of him saying something bad or messing up their business. Do they think that they're going to have a business after all this? I mean, Americans are selfish. We really, really are. We do not think of each other, but I can guarantee you this. It may not be touching you now, but it will touch you in the future if things continue to go. You do not live in a bubble, no matter how much you want to. So for all these people with money that's folding under him because they're worried about their reputation, their business and all that, in the long run, it's going to be harmed anyway. It sure is. But tell me your thoughts, people. We got a lot to talk about. I put 2 questions out on the community board. Please go out there and leave a comment. And then this. We got a lot to talk about tonight. So yeah, we're going to have Sip and Slurp Saturday. So get your drink, whatever you're drinking, and meet me here. I'm going to try to come on a little early. It just seems we get so many crazies when I come on at 7. But we will see. Somewhere between 7 and 8. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.